Morning, afternoon. Here we are in our next live stream. Oh, we don't want to kick off 2024. Today, I want to talk about the Fixing Your OKRs worksheet. So in previous Fixing OKRs sessions, we talked about a couple of different issues with OKRs and some patterns and tools that can be used to address those. And what I wanted to share with you today is something I've been working on, which is some sort of people on the internet call it swipe file, a template, a worksheet, whatever you want to call it, that can help you apply these ideas to your OKRs. In essence, this will be a mural template that you can copy and use in your context. What you'll need to do is essentially to work on the OKRs, for example, in the goal sorting section. What you'll need to do is to bring your OKRs here. So I'll talk a bit about how to do that, but that's essentially how this is going to look like. It's going to be you are bringing your OKRs into this template. And then you typically, for many of these tools, you will need to basically take the OKRs and sort them, categorize them based on what this tool, the specific tool, is focused on. So for example, in this section, it will be around, is this really an OKR? Is this a KPI? Or is this some business as usual work that shouldn't even be either of these? Right now, I'm not really looking at the content, just showing you how this works. You can do this on your own. So ways you can use this is you can use it as an individual thinking tool. You can also use this as a team activity where you bring everybody to the mural, you bring the OKRs, and people take turns, sort of like the team estimation or team activity, where people take turns. They move a card one at a time, or they just swarm and move the cards and then review and discuss different perspectives on, I think this is business as usual work, somebody else thinks it's an OKR. We discuss it, we talk about what considerations would there be for it being in either place, and maybe we'll decide to refine the item to make it clear that it's an OKR, or to make it clear that it's a business as usual work. Those conversations are the important thing. And then once you have a picture in each one of these sections, what insights does that give you? What does it mean, for example, that we see that actually looking at our OKRs, most of them are business as usual work? Well, that might mean that it's a good thing where we only have a few OKRs that we really need to focus on, apply the OKR approach to. It might mean that we don't even have a strategy that we're implementing. Maybe we were expecting to see some more work that's focused on strategy. The alignment or the dissonance or misalignment between what this picture is showing us and what we thought the picture is will be interesting to discuss. So let me go through this entire template and show you the different elements that there are. So before we go into the OKRs, the first thing that you might want to do is to reflect on your OKR implementation. Again, this is a tool for fixing your OKRs. The assumption is that you are already using OKRs at some level, and you want to reflect on it. One thing that you could do is use some sort of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats exercise, where you either individually as a self-reflection or again with the team, take a look at these questions and do some sort of retrospective of how you're currently doing with OKRs. even without going through all of the specific tools. This could be an interesting conversation, could drive some insights that can help you focus on the other specific tools. Another outcome might be that you're not clear on, what's working well, what's not working well, and you need to dive deeper into the specific tools. One other way you could do this is to ask everybody the question, where are we on the OKR journey? Everybody being, the people that are interested in, the OKR journey, can be the leadership team, can be whoever makes sense for you to have this conversation with. And, essentially what would happen here is each person would type their name on a card and reflect individually on where they think the organization is on its OKR journey. What's the level of confidence in, in how to do OKRs well? What's the actual competence of the organization, the people in the organization, in how to do OKRs well? And, where would we put ourselves on this journey? Now you probably realize that this is the Dunning-Kruger effect chart. I suggest removing the actual labels from the chart to avoid anchoring too much. You might even want to just do this exercise with an empty chart about confidence and competence, not even put the the serious line, the green trend line over here, and see what people come up with, and then overlay the Dunning-Kruger effect over it and see if there are any interesting insights that people get. You might experiment with this. Again, you might have people that are saying we're here, other people that are saying we're in different places. And it might be an interesting conversation to discuss why do people think we are in different places. By the way, if you're doing this in person, you don't have to use the mural. I would do it on the floor. I would just, chart on the floor in a room. This side of the room is high confidence. This side of the room is low confidence. The other axis of the room is level of confidence, and just ask people to go stand in the room where they think we are in the journey, and to have conversations between people in similar spots and people in different spots in the room. This is a version of the constellation exercise that we can either do virtually or in person. It's a great opening exercise in any case. So I included also the slides that we covered in each one of the fixing OKRs, so you have them for reference. In between the exercises, then the next exercise is the goal sorting one that I started with. The purpose here is, again, to look at, okay, we have so many OKRs, which of them are really OKRs, which of them should be OKRs, what are the KPIs out of this that we should just focus on as a health metric, but it's not really disrupting how we work. It should be a maintain rather than develop sort of capability. And what work is development work? It's work that we're doing, but it's not strategic, not something that we want to pay attention to at the OKR level as one of the highlights or themes, strategic themes that we are focused on. So again, this is a good exercise to do first when you bring over your OKRs. By the way, just a technical tip for how to bring those OKRs over. Let me generate a couple of OKRs. I just ChatGPT to generate some sample OKRs. Take a look. Let's say I asked ChatGPT to generate some OKRs, and to make it easier to actually start to work with this, I'm going to copy paste from ChatGPT, and what we essentially get here just by doing a copy paste of the screen. Let me maybe show you how this works by presenting my screen rather than my tab. So again, let's say I asked ChatGPT for some example OKRs. Then I take the results and copy. I could even, copy all of it if I really want to. And then I'll just grab empty space and paste it here. And what you can see here is that all of the text made it over. It's not ideal because it's not formatted that well, but you can improve how this happens. You could just ask just the objectives, please. And of course, I wouldn't go and do this in the real world with random OKRs from ChatGPT, although that could be interesting if you ask ChatGPT for a set of OKRs for your company to see what they come up with. But whatever your OKRs really are, go into wherever you're managing them and copy paste into Mural. It will create a post-it for each one of the objectives, or if you want to bring over the key results as well, it will create for them as well. And then you can bring this over here into this work area. And essentially what you'll do here is start to work with your actual OKRs. So you need to bring the actual OKRs into the Mural to use it. And then you will work with the actual OKRs. Now, the OKRs that you decide are really OKRs and not other things, eventually you'll want to do some other things with them. So a couple of things you can do. We already talked about the OKR Kanban, so you could bring them over here, arrange them into a row, let's say, and start to map them to where do we actually think they are in the workflow. Like, are we actually working on them? Are they red, working, but no evidence yet? Yellow, we're seeing some evidence. Green, this is really on track. Or we recently finished, we need to debrief this, or we're still considering, refining the OKRs. We're not ready to actually get going. Take all of the OKRs and map them to these different areas. And again, just that picture would provide some insights. You could also do the fast forward exercise to get a feeling for how OKRs typically flow in your organization. That's one thing you could do with those OKRs. By the way, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to enter them and I'll reply along the way. And another tool that you could use is some tools to actually look at are our OKRs distributed reasonably across different categories. One way to categorize would be how many of our OKRs are actually focused on the value we're creating in the market versus how many OKRs are focused on our capability. So for example, if I really take those OKRs that we got here, let's pull them over again. Enhance product innovation. I could see, I would say that's probably improving our ability to innovate. That's at least how I read this imaginary OKR. Improve customer satisfaction. That would be some unrealized value. Maybe there's a satisfaction gap. Our NPS is not really where we want it to be, so that could be something improving the market value. Strengthen team collaboration. That's probably in the, either in our ability to innovate, or it could also be seen as the current value to the team. There's a connection there. That could be a good conversation. Drive revenue growth. Probably not a great OKR because it's too high level. I need to have a chat with ChatGPT about its ideas for OKRs. Same for improved customer satisfaction, by the way. Maybe the KRs that it suggested would make it clear, but not great OKRs. Revenue growth, probably unrealized values, so penetrate more of the market. We need to be more specific. Enhance employee development. Probably most of the OKRs would map to, or typically most OKRs that are on market value would map to unrealized value because they are focused on addressing dissatisfaction gaps. So if you use this framework, which is basically part of evidence-based management, it talks about 4 key value areas. The current value, we will need to measure whether we're delivering current values, things like net promoter score, customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction. All of these would be KPIs. Unrealized value would be we want to do some things about it. So a lot of the OKRs could be seen as we're actually paying attention to some current value aspects and we're working on it. We have plans or desires to do something about it, objectives to do something about it. Some of the OKRs would be related to improving our ability to innovate, noticing our capabilities to actually build and develop stuff, or our ability to get stuff to the market, whether it's in development or not. So achieving operational efficiency could be seen as improving our ability to innovate or our time to market if we're talking about operational efficiency in developing capabilities and products, but it could also be over here if we're talking about our real business, our ability in the business to be operationally efficient. So this is one tool that you can use or disregard if you don't think it's useful for you. But in general, the idea here is to take the OKRs and use some sort of framework or model to analyze them and draw some insights. You could also do this with the Horizon model. Look at which OKRs are focused on Horizon 1, very short term, which are focused on things that could, deliver value over the next couple of years, which are emerging, Horizon 2. So that's another technique for or tools that you can use. The next tool that you might use is once you identified or brought over the OKRs, you might want to analyze which of them are framed as activities, which of them are framed as outputs, which of them are phrased as outcomes or even impact that you're trying to achieve. And I wouldn't be surprised if what you see is that many of them are activities and outputs, and not too many of them are outcomes. And you can use this to have a conversation around, okay, how would we take something and make it an outcome? Frame it as an outcome. Ask, why are we doing this? How would we know that this is successful? Get away from measuring activity to measuring more towards outcomes. Get away from activity and at least, make it more of an output. So this is another working tool that you can use, again, both individually if you're the person that's trying to improve OKRs, but your team is not yet with you, you could start with using this template on your own, but you could also bring the team and use this, pre-populate the OKRs and do this as a team exercise. One additional technique that you might use to help you with moving your OKRs to outcomes is impact mapping. Again, if you bring over your OKRs, you might have, an OKR like improve cybersecurity measures. That's, an output. Why are we doing this? What are we trying to achieve? So one thing you might start with is just moving this OKR to somewhere on the impact map, hierarchy. Basically say, yeah, that sounds like a feature to us. And then the question would be that impact mapping can help you with, why are we doing this? What's the outcome that we're looking for? What would be the overall goal that this would serve, and this can help us come up with the real OKR or the outcome that we want to frame. And maybe this is just a specific key result, or even nothing with something that should be represented differently within that OKR. So that's another thinking tool that you can use. The next level is to think about how you're currently organized around OKRs. That relates more to scaling. OKRs map to different areas of the organization. And here there are a couple of thinking tools that you can use. One is to just reflect, like draw the cascade or the network of OKRs and make the connections between them. Use whatever you want in Mural to do this. For example, you can organize them and say, yeah, those are contributing to each other. They are connected this way. This is kind of out in the wild, and that's fine. Maybe this is how it looks. Maybe, there's something that actually relates to two things. I don't know. How does it look? Does it make sense? Is it too strict of a connection? Beyond what the network looks like, there are other questions here that you should reflect on, like, how have we come up with this network? If we decided, for example, that, I don't know, improve, let's do something more realistic. If we decided that, or we are realizing that improved customer satisfaction is part of driving revenue growth, how did we come up with this objective? Who came up with this? How did we come up with the key results related to it? Did we tell the people that are responsible for improved customer satisfaction as an objective that this is their objective? Did we tell them what their KRs were? Did we involve them? Did we ask them to come up with their objectives in light of the fact that we want to focus on revenue growth? Did we provide enough context? Why now around revenue growth to explain what do we mean and what that should drive more widely in the organization? Do we have enough autonomy or leeway for the different teams and individuals and groups that are responsible for these different OKRs? Another thing we might want to take a look at is who is responsible for these OKRs. How do they map to the different teams in the organization? We could just add this as different colors of cards over here and do some sort of sketch. But another tool, especially if we have a lot of OKRs and departments, is move to this matrix, which basically looks at the different OKRs and the departments that are involved in them. Could be departments, could be teams, could be arts, whatever, squads, tribes, whatever your organizational units or functions. And it can be both the virtual, more agile network teams, as well as the actual functions in the organization. Sometimes, you're mapping OKRs to both types. maybe even at the same time, and populate those as columns in this matrix, populate the OKRs that we had earlier as rows, and then map both who's leading an OKR, and if it's not clear, maybe that's interesting insight as well, who's involved in the different OKRs, and what does that tell us? And if we see, for example, the picture looks like this, that's really worrying, right? That requires a lot of collaboration in the organization. So how could we, rethink maybe how we're structured, or how we're structured to help us achieve more focus when we're focused on an OKR, rather than have everybody have to have the context and be involved in all of the OKR. So this is a crucial thinking tool for organizing around the value, or organizing around what's currently strategic for you. So really interesting conversation to have. Those are the tools I have for you for now. Other than that, I have some resources that I'm sharing, that I've shared in previous conversations, whether those are resources I'm providing, whether those are resources I recommend. And that's more or less what I have. I'm still thinking about what tools or patterns to provide for helping you connect OKRs and your agile ways of working, whether it's needed to do something there or not. I might introduce something. I might just release, this template without it. I'm curious in your thoughts on whether this is useful for you, whether you're interested to actually have it. If I see that people are actually interested in having it and playing with it, I will go ahead and release it. The way to indicate your interest is to actually go in and indicate the interest. So the way to do that would be to go to this URL, which I'll share in the comments once this is over. And in this URL, you can provide your email and just say, yes, I'm interested to get access. Let me know when it's out. If you also want to subscribe to my blog while you're here, you can indicate that as well, and I'll do that for you. You can always subscribe on your own or not. I'm also interested in why are you interested in this? What are your hopes for this? And if you have any other thoughts or wishes or comments, feel free to let me know as well. That's an optional question. Once you submit your interest, when I see that, I don't know, there are 10 people that are interested in this, I'll go ahead and make this a template in Mural that you can take and leverage. So that's it for today, unless I'm seeing maybe a minute or two to answer any comments or questions that have come in. I don't see any. I'll take a look at the comments in LinkedIn and the other channels later on, and comment as well. And again, I'll put the link to this form over there as well. Hope this was useful for you. I'll see you next time. Have a great day.